Hey, Tim.
Hey, Mike.
So the topic now is self-management, and I've got four more concepts for us to discuss. The first one, Tim, is make goals public.
Not for everybody, but certainly for some people, is writing down a goal and then going and telling everybody that you're going to do it. And it makes it more likely that you actually will do it, because then it will seem as if it's a big failure when you don't do it because you've told so many people that you will.
Makes perfect sense. And I think the reverse is also true. This idea of you're already thinking, I won't communicate my goals just in case I don't achieve them. It's
Yeah,
already a very negative mindset to say, well,
yeah,
I'll keep them to myself so I don't embarrass myself when I inevitably fail at them. So I totally agree with that one. The second one, Tim, count to 10.
There's another one which is let sleeping dogs lie or sleep on it. Yeah. And they're all part of the same one, which is try not to act instantly, try not to act immediately. So if somebody says something nasty, pause. Yeah. And that pause may be a second or 2 seconds. It may be 5 or 10 seconds, but don't react immediately. And it's crazy how difficult this is for somebody who reacts immediately. I'm one of those persons. I'm surrounded by people who are very, very emotionally intelligent, and they don't react instantaneously when they hear something that they don't like.
I think this technique's really useful when something triggers your anger, which, as you said, can be very, very difficult to stop that kind of instinctive reaction. But
Mhm.
building in a mechanism like counting to 10 or taking a break, I think this idea of we have to deal with everything right now can actually be very, very negative and unhelpful when emotions are high. When emotions are high, you're actually better off giving yourself a bit of time and the other person a bit of time as well to kind
Yeah.
of calm down and then approach it at a more practical and rational moment. Next topic, freedoms versus limitations of responsibility.
And that goes back into the clip from previously about responsibility. And the analogy is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? So it's about optimism and pessimism. Some people are more pessimistic than they are optimistic. Yeah, that's not a judgment in any way. It's just that they look at the things that can go wrong rather than at the things can go right. And so again, it's a matter of self-management. If you're too often looking at the things that can go wrong, then it will inevitably have an impact on the way that you think about things and the quantity that you get stressed. So, having a positive mindset for certain elements of the work environment, or making sure that your private life is positively filled up with stuff around freedoms and the glass is half full, can be a good counterbalance to the stuff that's going on in work.
I think it's so interesting that we have so many examples where our preconceptions, the things that we believe before a task or before a problem, can actually have such a massive impact on the outcome of that task or issue
Yeah.
or goal. And so it's that kind of thing where whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. If you believe you can, then you can. And if you believe you can't, then you likely can't either. So I think it's really interesting. One more, Tim, smile and laugh more.
Yeah. I mean, there's masses of science around this, right? It's like smiling and laughing is, I don't know what it does from a scientific perspective, but it does make you emotionally intelligent. It makes people want to feel positive when they're with you and around you. And I worked with a call center where the call center staff were advised to have pictures on their desks that made them smile. And then they shared the stories behind those pictures with everybody. And then they rotate the pictures from desk to desk. So you had your own desk, but the pictures would change. So you would have somebody else's picture in front of you that made them smile. And that forced you to smile because you weren't just thinking of your own joy, you were actually thinking of somebody else's. Very, very interesting. And I worked in a place that sold timeshare. So they sold apartments to people who didn't want them. This was back in the late 80s. And there were two types of salesperson. And the people who actually sold the apartments, they had a zero negativity clause. So if anybody was negative in the working environment for the 10 hours a day when they were there, they were fired immediately. Yeah. So it was very tough because they couldn't have negativity within the working environment because it would spread like a wildfire. So that didn't mean they had to be positive, but it did mean that they weren't allowed to be negative because negativity created negativity. Yeah. So try and smile more, find reasons and for making yourself smile. And a word to all leaders out there, making people smile in stressful working environments is one of the best things that you can do as a lead, as a gift for your people.
Sounds really good, Tim. There was an experiment done where they had two groups of people, and one group of people were asked to fill out a survey, and the survey on happiness and positivity and negativity, etc. And they just filled out the survey and went about their day. The other group of people, they were given a pen or a pencil, and before they filled out the survey, they had to hold the pen in their mouth for 2 minutes. And then they filled out the survey. And what they found was that the people who had held the pen in their mouths gave noticeably more positive answers in the survey than those who hadn't. And they found that the reason was because the holding the pen in the mouth was effectively mimicking a smile. And I think what's so interesting about this is we often think that the mind is kind of the master of the body, right? And how the mind feels a certain way, it feels good, it feels bad, and then the body reacts to that with smiling or frowning or feeling energized or feeling de-energized or whatever it is. And that is true, but the opposite is also true. It's also true that if you can activate your body to feel positive, to smile, then actually it tells your mind that you are happy, it tells your mind that you're energized, and so the reverse is just as true. So I find that really, really useful to know that we are not just, let's say, slaves to however our thoughts affect us.
And the good news is we've finally got a use for all of those pens that we've got.
Yes. Just one down, about 200 to go. Now let's just put this out to the group then. So we had the 4 concepts: making your goals public, counting to 10, adding that pause, especially in an emotionally charged situation, the freedoms and limitations of responsibility, the optimism and pessimism, and then smiling and laughing more. So to those of you watching this, how many of these do you use, these concepts? Do you use a similar concept? And which of these do you think could have a positive effect on you if you were to implement it? And then how can you begin to implement it?
Mm-hmm. Great.